one of the quotes that you often bring up is that the issue is never the issue. The issue is always the revolution. And I quote you on that on the show all the time because it's so obvious to me now that the, Palestine thing has just become the omni issue. It's just the new BLM. It's the new trans thing. These people have no idea. I mean, you pointed out with the Grok thing how you can sort of disconnect them from the lies, but they have no idea the history. They have no idea the geography. The Queers for Palestine have no idea what would happen to them if they walked into Gaza. But the fact that this has become the center of all, then you've probably seen the Venn diagram about this. It's sort of, you have to give them credit in some sense for doing something so evil here. Now we're sort of back to the left, but it includes some of the people on the right that we're talking about.
Yeah. And so I keep trying to tell this. I'm glad you brought it up. I mean, we don't necessarily have to keep talking a lot about the left, but this actually...
I keep trying to do the right, but it does bring us back
because they're the same. They're two blades on a pair of scissors that doesn't work without both blades at some point. Yeah. But, this is the explanation for Queers for Palestine for the issue is never the issue. The issue is always the revolution, which, by the way, is a quote from David Horowitz, who brought it out of his time being a leftist in the Students for a Democratic Society, which is a Communist Front organization. And that's what he reported in Prodigal Son was his what his big takeaway about how the left operates. The issues are completely throwaway. The point is to destabilize, but it's actually on the last page of the Communist Manifesto why this is the case. So all the way back, Karl Marx, Friedrich Engels, 1848, they publish, a few sentences down as, workers of the world unite, you have nothing to lose but your chains or whatever. So you're up a couple of sentences and it says in black and white, I mean, I'm not going to quote it from memory, although I usually can. I can paraphrase this one, but it says that the communists everywhere will always take the side of every social movement that is against the established order of things in the social, I think it says social and political order of things. Okay, so queers against the social political order thing. Gaza against the social political order. Therefore, Queers for Palestine are united. The queers are actually an extension of a Marxist movement. They see an allyship in the Palestinian issue. Palestinians are opportunistic and know that they can manipulate these leftists, what Yuri Bezmenov called political prostitutes, and get whatever they want from them. And just like in Iran, they'll kill them afterwards, no problem. And they're much more ruthless than Queers for Palestine people are. But the logic of Queers for Palestine, the logic of, whichever the issue of the week is, the current thing that changes every however many months, is that is the thing right now that has the biggest chance of destabilizing the current social and political order. That's the thing that they can get the most, it's the lemon they can get the most juice out of this week to make their communist lemonade, which has no sugar in it, obviously.
There is no sugar. It's just bitter. It's just
bitter acid.
Bitter.
Yeah. But that's the explanation.
So in that you've been ahead on most of this for quite some time. I mean, there's literally a meme. I don't know did the James Lindsay is right meme start with you? Who started that meme? But there is a meme.
I didn't. I might have said it. I don't know, but it's a thing.
Yeah,
in fact,
is a thing.
A photo from your studio, they've turned into it's a picture I took at your place where I'm like looking over my glasses at something you're saying to me, and this picture's great. And then somebody turned it into a cartoon, and it just says James Lindsay was right. Me looking over my glasses at your house.
We'll find it. So in that you've been ahead on most of these things. If you're looking, I mean, I keep pointing out that, like, to me, if Trump loses the midterms, I think what starts the next day is something so insane we have almost no way to grapple with it. Because it's not just that all of the bad people will be empowered. It is that the Republicans will fracture so quickly it will be ridiculous because they'll all be jumping ship and looking for who's next. It will be 2 years of impeachment. It will be violence on the streets. I think it would just be chaos beyond imagination. Am I hysterical?
I think you're not hysterical. Again, it's like, this is the thing that I'm screaming from the rooftop that, like, nobody's listening to right now, which is that Hassan Piker is the voice of the next wave. And you see that with this recent incident with Scott Wiener in the park there, I guess in San Francisco is where that happened, where he gets hounded. As avant-garde as State Senator Scott Wiener has been with all of the child sexualization and everything
he's for all of the craziest lefty stuff, and he's been lying about Israel and saying genocide and all that. So
that's
he gave them everything they wanted.
He missed by a hair. and they're chasing him out of the park with their fist raised, saying, "You were so good. We're betrayed. We were so good on so many things, and you're bad on Gaza." And they chase him out of the park. Some weirdo in a cafe is running around him in circles. And it's just like, holy crap. But this is totally consonant with the stuff that Hassan Piker is saying all the time. Hassan Piker is their new poster boy for, the next probably 2 years until he's not cool anymore and somebody runs over him with a tank, a Tiananmen Square reference here. Because that's what the revolution does. The other thing I say all the time is that the revolution uses you and then it discards you.
What do you make of the ability for them to keep people who obviously have issues? Let's say you're a struggling young person in New York City, and let's try to give them every benefit of the doubt here. The rent is actually high. Let's say the streets aren't that safe, and 10 other things. Let's grant them all of those things, true or not. What do you make of the ability for them to keep everybody looking at something that's 10,000 miles away, that a problem that existed way before they were born? Like, the fact that the Omni issue, you would think if you were just writing a script, the Omni issue would be something that would be right in front of you. We're going to just deal with what's right in front of you. That to me seems like what Bernie was doing. It was wrong, but it was at least what he was doing. Here's the stuff, affordability right in front of you. Now the Omni issue has nothing to do with them whatsoever.
Yeah, so this is the most amazing part of kind of totalitarian psychology I've ever seen. And here the left and right touch each other again. Because you have kids, I mean, even before he died, Charlie Kirk was interviewing Turning Point kids on camera, chapter leaders or whatever, they're chapter presidents, whatever they're called. And like the guys are sitting there saying like, "I can't buy a house, but we give $3 billion to Israel." And like somehow those are connected. And so the most interesting thing about totalitarian capacity, or it's not the ideology, it's action, the praxis, is that they're capable of tying up your personal problem into the Omni issue of the day. That somehow whatever the Omni issue is for this year or this month or this 6-month period or whatever it is, that issue is the explanation for why your challenge is wrong. And the interesting thing is this is very Maoist. This is kind of what Mao did, and you can find in even the education literature, like in Paulo Freire's Pedagogy of the Oppressed, he's talking about this as like an educational program. And then he says in a footnote in the first chapter, he says, I derived this from Mao Zedong's Cultural Revolution. And you go try to dig into it and find out, well, what in the Cultural Revolution is it? And it's the mass line strategy. So what they did in Mao's time is they went and they found out what people were agitated about, and then they went back to the central office and they cooked up a communist explanation for that agitation, and then they fed it back to them. So they took their real anger and somehow propagandized that into them believing that whatever the scapegoat of the year is, maybe it's one of the Mao's rivals or whatever, Liu Xiaoqi or whatever. So maybe they are successful at making people believe that the things that they are actually experiencing are caused by the Omni problem. And this level of misdirection is almost mystical in its capacity. And I'm flabbergasted that it's this successful, especially with young Christian conservatives who are staring at the same exact bogus explanations that don't make any sense and still getting taken in by them, and staring at this tiny country in the Middle East as the source of all problems.
How much of this do you think is just purely technological? Like it's purely click algorithmic. There's 2 billion. If you were just looking at the numbers and you were trying, I would say something like this. Like, to me, Megyn Kelly made a choice, and she was like, where's the future of clicks? And there are 2 billion Muslims and there's 16 million Jews. And like, if you were just looking at it in that dim-witted way, and I don't think it was much more complex for her. I think she saw when Fuentes went on Tucker, I think she saw energy, and she's like, I'm going to go to the energy. So how much of it is just like, it's just numbers and clicks and everything else outside of purely sort of ideological roots?
Some is, not all of it. And the reason I say that I'm confident that it's some is because, like you just said, there's 2 billion Muslims out there. But I even looked up, and this has been about a year ago, so I don't know the number. And I asked Grok a year ago, Grok, so maybe it's not the best. But I said, how many people from the third world are on this platform now that were not on this platform, say, in 2015? So 10 years ago. And it told me there were 200 at the time. It told me 200 million new users in the third world. And we have this saying, import the third world, become the third world. Well, X is the public square, right, or Instagram is the public square. Our public square is full of the third world. And so, the clicks are there. And like I said, in Europe and in Canada and whatever, these people are getting crazy money on welfare, programs, and they have disposable income and by definition, no jobs. So they have lots of disposable time, lots of disposable income to be able to engage with this material. And I know that they're a central, part of the, demographic base that people are chasing for monetization and for clicks, which is insane to me that they create content that's geared to be for young, white, Christian Americans, radicalizing them against Jews in order to sell that product to Muslim immigrants to Europe that are conquering another continent. It's just this mind-boggling situation, but this is fully technologically facilitated. But on the other hand, the technology has opened other doors that are ideological. Like, this is not just happening. Russia has a stake in this. I mean, when the Iran war kicked off first in January, one of the internet cables didn't get turned off. It got cut. And I think it had like a part of the traffic from Pakistan got cut off. It was something like this. And the Scottish independence movement on X disappeared until the internet came back on it. So the Scottish independent movement is a Pakistani Muslim operation. Like, this is happening all over the world. China, Russia, probably North Korea, but I bet there's this funny, Iran, the entire kind of like would-be caliphate is playing games with us that we haven't adapted to. We don't know how to handle this propaganda. The propaganda that's a message is one thing. The propaganda that's I posted something in my own words that I kind of believed, or I thought I was being a little funny or edgy, and it blew up, and suddenly I got 100,000 likes on something because I kind of like made a bad joke about the Jews. And now I'm like, oh, that's like you said with Megan, that's where the energy is, but you don't know why that's where the energy is. Russia came out recently, Eitan Fischberger reported this, and they had one of their government guys talking on a camera. I don't remember who he is, but he said that in Russia's opinion, only 4% of their foreign agents, 4% are paid, which means 96% of them are not paid, which right. A lot of them probably don't even know their assets of Russia. And if they don't know their assets of Russia, like, they're not really culpable. There's not really much you can do with it. But that's the internet, the social media circumstance has allowed people to be captured by their clicks, by flattering them, by ratioing them, by blowing up their account. Not even like the cocktail parties, just like, we'll make you have a big YouTube channel. And you have people, basically repeating propaganda lines that they're not even being fed because they've been effectively. Jordan Peterson talked about this years ago, by the way. Yeah, it's like audience capture by a fake audience that's like Russian bots.
'Cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that